Frances Cleveland is the first First Lady to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, but there's so much more to this interesting First Lady than just that fact. For instance, she remains the youngest First Lady to ever be in the White House. She was only 21 at the time when she married Grover Cleveland. She also is the only woman to get married in the White House. But first, a little bit about Frances. She was born Frances Folsom in 1864, the daughter of a lawyer, and she ended up being an only child. Now, unlike many girls of her day, she was very well educated. She loved studying and reading, she was a member of the debate club, and she even studied political science in an era which was many years before women would have the right to vote. She was an intelligent young woman and a thinker. It was this quality, as well as her good decorum and careful training, that made her quite an asset in the White House. She married Grover Cleveland on June 2nd, 1886. He was 49 and she was 21. And this was quite a topic of conversation in the day. You see, the 1880s could be considered the age of the newspaper. In that day, that was how people found out everything they needed to know. And because of it, the newspapers would sometimes take a bit of advantage of this situation to create media frenzies. Grover Cleveland was not a big fan of the newspapers of the time because he felt that a lot of the reporters just wanted to make a quick buck off his story, and he felt that they weren't always honorable. But he paid special attention and gave great recognition to those journalists and newspapers which he felt were honest and reputable. He passed this suspicion of the press along to his wife, but that didn't keep her from being friendly. As a matter of fact, she made him much more sociable than he was before. What's the role of a First Lady? It's so interesting to look back in the history from the very first, right after the Revolution, to the modern First Ladies and see how that role has changed. Frances Cleveland is remembered as one of the first modern First Ladies. Now, what does that mean? It was over 100 years into the presidency when she became the First Lady, but she's given that title because she set the mold for what future First Ladies would be. Whereas in the past, the First Lady was basically just the president's wife, she was so much more. She was a very open, welcoming hostess. In fact, the White House had 2 different galas each week while she was the hostess there. She would open up the house to be warm and welcoming. She even had one reception on Saturday afternoons each week so that working women could attend. Grover Cleveland didn't believe that women should be active in politics. But that doesn't mean that Frances didn't have strong beliefs and that she wasn't very involved in society. In fact, in her own very demure way, she was very active in influencing politics.